All right, so welcome everyone. Thanks again for spending time with us today at our ORCID US Community Annual Member Meeting for 2021. To start us off in this update, I have an interpretive art piece for you, which is really just a word cloud. This is just for a bit of fun so you can know at a glance who else is in our community and attending this meeting today. I've created this word cloud based on the job titles for everyone who registered for the meeting today. So you can see some keywords really popping out here, like research, scholarly, librarian. We have a lot of library folks in the meeting today, research, digital. So all of these words kind of capture at a glance our community of people that we have here in the meeting today. Now, many of you already know me. I'm Sheila Rabin. I've been leading the ORCID US Community program since it started in 2018. And I'm now the program leader for persistent identifier communities at Lyrasis, which includes the ORCID US Community and our new Lyrasis data site, US Community for DOIs. And I'm very pleased to officially introduce my new colleague, Paolo Guhilde, who joined us this year in May as the ORCID US Community Specialist. So Paolo has a background in libraries and scholarly communication and came to join us from Northwestern University. And I am really happy to have Paolo on board, especially since our community has been continuing to grow and really is too much for just one person. We have over 150 member organizations now, and that is still growing. Northwestern University is one of our ORCID members. So I'm just really excited to kind of officially introduce Paolo on this call. And Paolo, I think at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you to give us more updates.
Thank you, Sheila, and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for welcoming me to the ORCID US community. I'm having a wonderful time working with you all. So what's new with ORCID? As many of you know, the member portal was launched in July 2021. Within this portal, you will find the reporting dashboard and affiliation manager tools. Activation email to the member report was sent to the main voting contact for ORCID at your organization. So if your organization does not have access to it or have not activated the member portal, please let us know. So the reporting dashboard is the new member reports. Previously, you received monthly reports in PDFs. So with this new reporting dashboard, you will have access to on-demand member reports as well as integration reports, which includes the connected IDs of your integration, works updated, and many other statistics. The Affiliation Manager is a built-in tool within the member portal for starting affiliations to members of your organization or anyone affiliated with your organization. So this new tool requires the use of one of your 5 ORCID member APIs to activate. Affiliation information such as employment, education, qualifications, invited positions, distinction, and service can be asserted by you, your organization, for more authoritative affiliation to your ORCID record for your constituents. So some of our members started using this new tool, including the University of Georgia. UGA used Affiliation Manager as part of their outreach to graduate students in fall 2021. You can read more about UGA's project and the link on the slides. You should have access to the slides through our agenda and notes. So if you're currently using the tool, we would love to hear from you. Please email us to share your experience and feedback using the Affiliation Manager. If your organization is thinking of activating Affiliation Manager, you can also email Sheila and I, or you can use the Affiliation Manager request form, which is also linked on this slide. Orchid was actually launched in 2012, so it's almost a decade now. So by next year, we should be at about 10 years. So with that, Orchid's strategic plan for the next few years focuses on four major themes. One, increasing value to our members. Two, increasing value to researchers. Three, increasing global participation. And four, upholding trust and integrity. So I would encourage you to please take a look at the strategic plan and its major themes by also following the link on the slide, and you can read more about it through that page. Many of you probably have seen and interacted with the new Orchid user interface. It is a much cleaner and clearer to navigate. This was just launched the last few months. So this new interface is also available in the administrative side of your Orchid records, so setting up your account on the back end. And additional updates for our Orchid includes support for ROAR, or Research Organization Registry. ROAR is a community-based, community-led registry of open, sustainable, usable, and unique identifiers for every research organization in the world. Also, Orchid will do additional improvements to the user interface for account settings and developer tools, and allowing members to delete items when permission has been revoked, essentially allowing members to delete inaccurate data within the registry. So a lot of kind of movements and improvements into Orchid this year, as well as for the next few years. So you can check more, see what the other plans are and other improvements by following the link again on the slide. And now for the most important part, which Sheila and I are quite excited about. Really, so this past few months, Sheila and I have been working on this, and it is quite significant. So the Orchid US community has a new and updated website. Sheila just shared the link into the chat. So today marks the preview of this new website. We would love for you to check it out. So when you have a chance, please take a look at the new web pages and let us know what you think. So your feedback on this will definitely help us make this site better. So definitely please let us know. And we're very excited about this one. All right, so how did our year go? As I mentioned earlier, or as Sheila mentioned earlier, we have over 150 members in our consortium. So right now we are actually at 156 members. Of that, 119 institutions have integrations, which is about 76% of our entire community. One highlight of this year is that we have over 235,000 connected IDs to our integrations. Through those integrations, almost 47,000 records have been updated. So our community participation have definitely seen a lot of growth this past year. Also, on other kind of noteworthy statistics is that we have over 430 members plugged into our Orchid US community discussion forum. So if you're actually not plugged into that discussion forum, please let us know and we will send the invites to you. And of course, on our social media side, we have almost 400 Twitter followers. So if you're not following us, please do so. We would love to get past 400 and increase that more. And this year, we also welcomed a lot of new members to our Orchid US community. So our membership is constantly growing every year, and 2021 is no exception. So this year, we welcome 15 new members, and at the start of the new year, we will welcome 2 new members to our community. So as of right now, again, we have 156, and that will increase next year. So that's quite exciting. All right, I'll give it back to Sheila.
Awesome, thanks, Paolo. So I'll wrap us up here with just a few more updates. First, this has been announced in the Orchid newsletter, if you've been looking at those, and we will be making more announcements about this, but I did want to give everyone a heads up that the Orchid board is working on revising the Orchid Consortium fee structure. But this is not going to go into effect for our community until 2024. So we still have a couple of years. And right now, currently, all organizational members of the Orchid US community pay the same fee. And it's based on the number of members that are in our consortium. But Orchid has identified some equity issues and sustainability issues globally. So they're kind of looking at adding tiers to the consortium fee model, and those tiers will likely be based on the total revenue or funding per organization. And the kind of motivation behind this is they're hoping that, adding a tiered fee structure to all the consortia across the globe for Orchid will kind of lower the barrier for some smaller organizations and also less represented global regions to participate in Orchid as members. So that's kind of one thing we're keeping an eye on. They have not solidified this new structure yet. From the conversations and updates that I've heard, we're anticipating there to be 3 tiers, but we'll see how that fleshes out. So this is just kind of a heads up. Also, Orchid has kept their fees flat for several years now, at least the last 3 years, if not longer than that. And in terms of sustainability, they are looking at implementing 3% increases from year to year moving forward. But again, that's not going to affect us until 2024. And this new model is still under development. So our current rate is locked in through the end of 2023. But we will be making more announcements about this once we know what the new model is going to be. And of course, we will let everyone know about any changes as soon as we have more information. So if you have any questions about this or concerns about this, do let us know. Maybe Paolo, if you could put our email address into the chat. And of course, you can contact us for anything, but any feedback that you have, at least on this initial projected plan, we'll be more than happy to pass along to Orchid and to the Orchid board. And aside from that, last but not least, if you were on our recent community call that we did in November on the topic of Orchid and funding workflows, then you've already heard this, and you may already be aware of this, but if you haven't heard, there is a national security presidential memo, and you're seeing an excerpt of that here on the slide, basically indicating that soon all federal agencies that give out grant funding will be required to have some sort of policy in place related to awardees having a digital persistent identifier. So they may or may not require Orchid IDs. We'll just have to wait and see, but each agency will be responsible for coming up with their own policy. And I think all the agencies are kind of in the process of looking at this and coming up with policies right now. And also another thing to note is that right now, Orchid is really the only service that provides a digital persistent identifier that meets what they're looking for. So even though they're not saying Orchid specifically in this memo, I think it's kind of safe to assume that may be included in the policies of the different agencies as they come up with them. So this is just something else to know about and have a heads up on. And of course, we are kind of keeping our ears out for any updates on this too, and we'll let everyone know if we hear anything else. So again, if you have any questions about this or any of the other things we talked about, definitely send us an email. And of course, feel free to discuss any of this with your colleagues in the upcoming breakout sessions that we're going to do. So that's basically it for our update.